Electronisounds Audio, the YouTube channel for you.
Hey, what's happening, guys? It's Dean from Electronisounds. Stick around. Today I'm going to show you 5 beat examples that I've put together on the iPad. These are all using the free presets that I put out last week for Ruismaker Noir. Come on, guys, let's check these beats out. Be sure and subscribe if you're into this kind of content, guys. On this channel, I talk about everything from making music on iPads to making music with hardware. I talk about live jams, I talk about making tracks, I talk about sound design, we talk about vintage gear, and we talk about new gear. Be sure and subscribe, guys. This one has the potential to get a little bit long, guys, because we're going to go over 5 pieces of music today. So I'm going to split this into 2 sections. The first part, I'm going to plug in direct sound, and we're going to play through all 5 beats. In the second half, I'm going to walk you through how I made all 5 beats if you want to get your learning on. Stick around, guys. Thanks for joining me today, guys. What I wanted to do was I wanted to walk you through how I made each of these 5 beats and show you which of the presets that I used inside of Ruismaker Noir. For those of you who don't have my free pack of 147 presets for Ruismaker Noir, I'm going to put a link up in the corner here so you can check out that video and get these presets downloaded into your iPad. The problem here, guys, is that when I load up these sessions to show you which Noir presets I have loaded, it doesn't actually show what preset is loaded into Noir. I've got my tracks labeled down here, and like for instance, this is a kick thing and this is a snare. And if I open up Noir here, it just says at the top, Ruismaker Noir snare. It doesn't actually list the name of the preset. And so if you go, into the user patches here, it's not like there's not a check mark per se on the preset that I've used. So unfortunately, other than sit here and scroll by hand through 147 presets for each of the, individual tracks that I've got Noir running to try to find out what the preset names are, I'm not really going to be able to pull that off, guys. But what I will do is just give you a quick rundown of how I've put these grooves together and what the individual tracks are. So if you want to check that out, stay tuned, and we're going to go over that right now, guys. Okay, so this is the first groove that I put together using the presets. And what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm just going to basically mute all the tracks here, and we're going to unmute them sort of one at a time and maybe talk a little bit about them. We've got a kick thing happening from Ruismaker Noir, starting to, some rhythmic groove for us here. I added a snare on top of that. Let me start from the beginning, downbeat. Added some hi-hats on top of that. Right, so we've got 3 instances of Ruismaker Noir, a kick, a snare, and a hat. I've got these running through, lots of FabFilter Pro Q3 EQs. I've got these running through, don't need to yell over this, sorry guys. I've got these running through the Transient Master from Fred Anton Corvest as well. I'm using the smooth attack on these. So instead of boosting the impact and the punch of the transients of these sounds, I'm actually backing them off and basically softening the attack on pretty much all of the sounds in this groove. So we've got a kick, a snare, and some hats. I loaded up an instance of Axon 2, which we're going to unmute here and show you what that's adding to the groove. Adding sort of some sort of, random glitchy percussion there. We've got that running through the reamp also from Clevgrand to get a little bit, more tube saturation and filth kind of on this percussion sound here. Whoops. So we've got a, pretty solid groove here. And I loaded up the Groovebox app from Amplify, and I loaded, just sort of randomly clicked through the presets there until I got a melodic element that sort of fit with the groove. If you're familiar with the Amplify Groovebox app, this sort of style of their synth sounds might sound a little familiar. I really think that app is fantastic for adding little elements to, grooves like this. Amplify Groovebox, guys. Absolutely. Let's see here. We've got just a down filter and a crash to sort of, help that, forward momentum and that impact of those downbeats. I'm running the Black Hole reverb from Eventide Audio on a reverb send here as well, guys. So this is the first one that I put together, kind of a chilled down-tempo 88 beats per minute groove. Let's check out the next one. This is the second groove I put together, guys, and we're at 120 beats per minute. This one relies really heavily on a delay effect, and that's the Dubstation 2 that I'm using here from Audio Damage. I'm also using the EOS 2 reverb from Audio Damage on this one. Now, when I play this groove, and then when I stop the groove, the delay tail just sort of rings out for like a very long time. So that's why I'm showing you those in advance. We're pretty much just going to go through this one super quick and not do a lot of starting and stopping. What I wanted to do, we're going to go ahead and actually start muting everything from track 1 so that I can just see that's a sequencer. Cool deal. Okay, so what I wanted to do was start with like a bass sound that was really deep, that would sort of double as a sort of a kick drum element as well. So we've got this really low Ruismaker Noir action happening, right? Then I wanted to add a little bit of extra melodics that would blend in with that using a second Noir. And because the first Noir has so much bass and low end, I've taken out quite a bit of bass from the second instance of Noir so that the low end isn't conflicting with our first instance. Put some hats in from Noir. Okay, so we've got sort of a random groove happening with the melodics of the synth line changing just a little bit using the mutate features in Noir. Then I loaded up the Ruismaker synth from Brambos and also the bassline sequencer from the Rosetta sequencers from Brambos to get sort of a melodic lead here. This is using my absolute favorite preset from Ruismaker, which if you go to load and if you go to, what is it, ARPs, yeah, Cloudophone, you guys. Cloudophone, Ruismaker. Whoo, I could just pretty much use that lead in like a whole album, you know what I'm saying? Love that sound. And that's being sent to, you know, lots and lots of delay and reverb. So that even when I stop the groove, we still have a lot of that effect in the mix, as you can hear. All right, let's check out groove number 3, guys. This one's got a little bit more of an upbeat and sort of a dancey vibe to it. This is at 135 BPM. And I started out with just a kick drum from Ruismaker Noir. It's really doing a kick and a snare, you know, rather. I added another snare from Ruismaker Noir to thicken that beat up. Really get that, you know, impact and the, you know. I've added a bass sound from Noir. Get a really simple little groove going. Okay, then I added some more hats from Audio Damage Axon. Really like those. Added up another Ruismaker Noir and got some tweaky percussion in there. I'm gonna mute these hats so you can hear that percussion a little better. The percussion is actually, mute this bass and snare as well. The percussion is actually doing quite a bit of sort of random tweakiness, and that's being, you know, generated by the Audio Damage Replicant 2 app, giving me that extra level of sort of tweakiness on this percussion. If I take that off, it's pretty static groove. Not a lot of changing happening. It's a good groove, but not a lot of changing happening. And when we put Axon 2 on that, it starts putting all this weird little kind of stuff in the background and adding some, you know, little elements there. Then I added some more hats using Ruismaker. Real analog sounding, you know, kind of beefy rhythmic hats on the top there to help build some more rhythm here. Added another instance of Noir to get some melodics. We've got kind of an interesting little underground groove happening. And then I felt that we needed a little more body to it, so I loaded up Synthmaster 1, and I've got an ARP being controlled by a bassline sequencer here. Just holding down one long note there, and holding down a patch in Synthmaster 1, which is called Acid Game. See, this is what I wanted to do with all my Noir stuff, guys, to show you what the patches were. But again, unfortunately, it doesn't show you what patch you have loaded when you bring up Noir. So there's that groove, and let's check out the next groove, guys. This one's got kind of a unique start to it in that I loaded up 2 instances of Noir and loaded up a really crusty bass preset and just kind of doubled that up to get extra thick, crusty bass. And it sounds a little bit like this. There's no kick drum happening there. Basically, it's just this kind of distorted, you know, low, crusty bass. And I've added a snare to that. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we start getting some, you know, rhythmic pattern emerging. Then I've added some real percussive sounding hi-hats to build that rhythm up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, kind of a deal. We need a little bit of melodics here, which I've loaded up another instance of Noir. Got a really interesting underground groove sort of happening here now. And to get some more melodics in this, guys, I went ahead and loaded up the Amplify Groovebox app again. I really like to use that app for just, you know, randomly coming up with melodic parts for grooves like this. And I added a bass line from that, which sounds a bit like this. Kind of a funky, old school electro bass line. And I've added a synth part from that sounds a bit like this. If we solo these, and you hear what melodics these are putting out. Now, if you're familiar with the Amplify Groovebox app, guys, these might sound pretty darn familiar. That app has a pretty serious, like, sound of its own, and I really find it useful when I'm trying to create, you know, just sort of random melodics for fun little grooves like this. Amplify Groovebox. If you don't have that one, definitely check that out. Lastly here, I added some more sort of lo-fi sounding, let's see, solo that, shakers from Noir to help just build the groove even that much further. I hope you guys have found this useful, and until next time, thanks for watching.